Hi, this is Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here at Siggraph 2017, Day 2. This is Chris Healer from The Molecule. He has studios in New York and LA, and you work on visual effects and virtual reality and a number of other things. But let's start off by, what does Siggraph mean to you? Why is it an important show for you to attend?
Siggraph is an outlet for the nerdiest of the nerds, and that's a good thing. It's a great thing. I feel like a lot of conventions are about showing off new stuff.
Sure.
Siggraph is about showing off new ideas, and that's an excellent thing. It takes a very sharp. You really have to pay attention. There's a depth to what is being shown, and if you're apt for it, then it's there to be had. So it's an excellent thing.
Do you find that you get inspired by other people's work as you're watching it on these big giant screens?
Absolutely. And what's probably the most exciting thing is you'll find yourself in a room and you're like, oh, that guy, he did a TED Talk. That guy wrote the paper for this type of rendering or this type of thing. That guy did the visual effects for X. Like, you're in the room with the guys. So it's like super thrilling.
And you could ask them questions, right?
You can ask them questions. You can see like the pimples on their face. It's the best. It's the best.
That is pretty cool. I totally. But there is technology that's being shown, and you were an early adopter for VR. You had been a visual effects artist and supervisor for years, and then you embraced VR heavily. Can you talk about the differences working in visual effects and VR, and how they're connected also, and how that makes I know I'm asking a lot,
right.
But and just talk about workflows and what tools you use to sort of enable the creativity. It's a lot.
That is a lot.
I know. I know.
As Drew says, let me unpack that for a second. The software that's out is great, and we've seen like a VR kind of add-on to many things that exist. So like Nuke has a VR component, Maya, Arnold, we're even seeing it in Fusion or Houdini. So it's like, it's all coming. I just think philosophically that there's so much unwritten code out there right now. There's so much software that it's a matter of someone imagining what it needs to be, which is confusing because it's one thing to just add a component to a piece of software. It's another thing for a piece of software to be fundamentally VR based. So you have these other things like Unreal and Unity that are also equally amazing.
Yeah.
But even they weren't originated from VR. It's just an open GL.
They were from gaming, the gaming world.
Right. So, like, I think as the user base catches up to what's going on in VR, the software wants to come meet that. And that's really been occupying my mind a lot because it's not simply a 360 rendering. There's more to it.
Right.
So,
but then there's also the telling of the story, and how long should the story be in a virtual reality world?
And what perspective are you experiencing when you are the viewer in the story?
Right. Yeah.
And who is the story being told? Are you a casual observer or are you an active participant?
So there's a lot of different, and like in gaming, you always had there's all these different ways that you could go, and that's similar in terms of virtual reality as well. So you have to pick and choose which direction you want them to go, which is, I'm imagining, very difficult to do in terms of just the story.
Well, I think what we're finding is that the disparity of the technologies. So you have like Gear VR, Vive, Oculus, PSVR. And you can make a whole list. But depending on whether you're working in room scale or not, depending on if you have a wand or just a simple clicker, like it really changes the story experience. So from a content creation perspective, you have to be really clever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we're the best at that, but we are doing our best. So it's tricky.
So why don't you talk about some recent VR projects that you've done? I know you did the most recent was Invincible. Help me out. What did you're not helping me out?
The most recent one we've done is for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
Called Koa. I mean, this is like fresh off the press kind of thing, which is effectively a clip tree type experience, and it's pretty exciting because we're going to be distributing it to 400 or 500 salespeople. So what we're seeing is like rather than the what you might call like the M&E space, which is just kind of entertainment stuff, we're seeing practical uses for sales tools, and really trying to get it into people's hands, and therefore to show it to potential buyers, which in this case is doctors, but that's a shift, because I think if you just make a show and you just want people to see it, there's that. It's when you're trying to build a useful tool that the components, it shifts your focus quite a bit.
Right. So that's sort of a teaching tool, but you've done some creative VR recently as well. Can you name those projects?
We did Invisible, directed by Doug Lyman.
Which is a big deal.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
A lot of people have seen it.
Traditional feature film director, embracing VR.
And he's been making some noise in terms of trying to get the ME committee to actually pay attention to VR.
Really?
So that's a thing. We finished a piece for the New York Times called Lincoln and the Bardo. A lot of people have seen it. Just got a very sweet email from George Saunders a couple days ago, and people are seeing it. People are actually, in his words, breaking into tears.
Really?
So,
holy cow.
Seems very dramatic. But.
It does, but that's what you want from your work, right? You want to create the emotion. Now, switching gears a bit to your visual effects work, you guys do a lot of TV shows. Things are ramping up. Can you I know you probably can't discuss any kind of detail, but can you talk about which shows you're working on?
We've got episodes of Shooter out right now, Quantico, Ballers. Ballers is going very strong. 7 Seconds, The Affair.
Wow.
Really, really great shows, and like really creative ones that are doing. They are making TV what is now the golden era of TV, if I can say that.
I agree, and I think you can say it. I mean, it's pretty cool. But you guys are doing so much, and I know that TV, the expectation for getting the visual effects done and the deadlines are kind of crazy. How are you guys managing that? And then I'm going to let you go and wander the show floor.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's any magic to it. It's having a lot of guys and being smart about how you manage projects. I mean, it is quite tricky because we are, Andrew, who you know well,
sure,
is part of the Post Alliance, and we really want to respect the tax credits that exist between New York and LA. So some of the difficulty we're having is just managing which office is going to do what, because some shows are shot in New York and posted in LA, and shot in LA and posted in New York.
Yeah.
You don't know from one day to the next. So we're very conscious of that, and really make an effort to be a good global citizen in terms of how the tax credits work, and to really respect the spirit of what the tax credits want to be.